Remember when one brown paper bag held a whole week of groceries, and your mother still had room in the pantry and space to breathe in the kitchen? The good dishes lived behind glass, the everyday plates stacked neatly, and the hallway closet actually closed without a struggle. In this story, meet Clive, 72, sitting at his laminate kitchen table in 2025, surrounded by delivery boxes, store loyalty cards, and a refrigerator covered in coupons he never uses. His garage, once just big enough for a family car and a few tools, now looks like a mini warehouse of backup pasta, extra paper towels, and gadgets still in their packaging. Clive's knees hurt when he bends, his budget feels tighter than ever, and the clutter makes every step feel risky. Tonight, as another notification pops up for a flash sale, he finally pauses. This time, instead of clicking, he remembers how his parents shopped, and how their quiet rules kept both their money and their home under control. In this video, you and Clive are going to borrow 8 of those old rules and gently fit them into today's world of apps, subscriptions, and one-click orders, so your house can feel lighter again without losing what matters. Before following Clive into his first change, take a quick look around your own kitchen or hallway. If you see more shopping bags, boxes, and bargains than you feel comfortable admitting, you are in the right place. Hit subscribe and stay with this channel so you have a calm voice walking beside you each week as you untangle clutter, one kind of shopping choice at a time. Rule number 1. List first, store later. Clive's first wake-up call came on a rainy Tuesday, when he tried to put away a new set of buy one, get one storage containers and realized there was literally nowhere left to slide them in. The pantry shelves were already double-stacked with soups, cereal, and snack boxes he had forgotten he owned. As he stood there, he suddenly pictured his mother's avocado green fridge door, covered not with coupons, but with a single, handwritten list for the week. She never shopped without knowing exactly what the cupboards could hold. Instead of beating himself up, Clive did something small and very doable. He pulled out a pad of paper, not an app, just a simple notepad, and wrote 2 columns, already have and actually need. He opened each cupboard slowly, noticing how many duplicates had slipped in when he shopped without checking first. It felt uncomfortable to see 3 open bottles of the same spice and enough pasta to feed a reunion. But it also felt strangely clarifying, like turning the lights on. Next, Clive tried a new rule. The list had to be written after he checked his storage, not before. Before each supermarket trip, or even a delivery order, he glanced at his shelves and his freezer and only wrote down what would fit in a clear space. If there was no space, the item waited until something else was used up. When his knees were sore or the weather was bad, he used his phone camera to quickly snap photos of shelves and made his list from the pictures while sitting down, instead of guessing at the store. The first few times, he felt frustrated. The buy 10, save more deals still called his name, and it was tempting to trust the sale instead of his list. But he reminded himself, the store will run another promotion, his body and budget would not run another lap around clutter. Within a couple of weeks, he noticed fewer heavy bags on the floor and more empty space between items. It was easier to find what he needed, and he stopped rebuying things he already owned. For you, this rule can start as gently as this. Before your next shop, choose one area, maybe just the pantry or the fridge door, and do a 2-minute already have scan. Write it down. Then build your list around the gaps, not the advertisements. Over time, your list becomes less about chasing savings and more about protecting your shelves, your balance, and your peace of mind. Rule number 2. One payday, one errand loop. Clive realized the clutter didn't only arrive in bags, it slipped in through his routine. In his parents' day, there was grocery night or a Saturday morning loop. One trip that covered food, pharmacy items, and maybe the hardware store, then back home. The rest of the week, they simply used what they had. No daily day tours, no just popping in because they were bored. Now, retired and often alone, Clive had fallen into a new pattern. A quiet afternoon turned into a drive to the store for something to do. A TV commercial nudged him into a quick pharmacy visit for a supplement he wasn't sure he needed. A discount day at the warehouse club became an excuse to fill the cart, since I'm here anyway. Each trip added a few more items, a little more strain on his back, and more things to squeeze into the house. The change started when his doctor mentioned how much his joints and balance could benefit from fewer heavy loads and less standing in lines. Clive decided to experiment with his parents' old rhythm. He chose 2 regular errand days per month, tied to when his pension and social security hit his account. On those days, he combined everything, groceries, prescriptions, household supplies, into one planned loop or a single delivery order. In between, he agreed with himself, no surprise store trips, no new online orders, unless something truly urgent ran out. To make this easier, he used a small basket by the front door labeled Next Errand Day. If he noticed he was low on batteries, light bulbs, or toothpaste, he dropped a sticky note in the basket instead of running out. When errand day came, he grabbed the notes and added them to his list. The urge to just go get it softened when he remembered he already had a plan. You can tailor this to your own life. Maybe you choose 1 weekly grocery delivery and 1 in-person outing for essentials. Maybe friends from your building or neighborhood ride together once a week, turning errands into a social event instead of multiple exhausting solo trips. Fewer trips mean fewer impulse buys, fewer chances to be tempted by end-of-aisle displays, and more energy left for the parts of life that are not about standing under bright lights pushing a cart. With each reduced trip, Clive noticed something surprising. His house stopped changing so quickly. Fewer surprise items came over the threshold. His energy stretched further, and his days weren't broken up by constant runs to the store. Instead of his life revolving around shopping moved back into its place, one important task, not the main event. Rule number 3, try it before you own it. One afternoon, Clive tripped, not badly, but enough to scare himself, over a stack of folding chairs he had bought for when everyone comes over. As he sat catching his breath, he realized his parents would have simply borrowed chairs from the church hall or the neighbor across the street. They didn't automatically buy something just because they might need it once. That memory sparked a new experiment. What if he tested things before letting them move in permanently? Instead of ordering a new exercise gadget he saw in a commercial, he asked his local senior center if they had classes or equipment he could try. Many did, and they were happy to have him join. Before buying pricey craft supplies, he joined a workshop at the library to see if he actually enjoyed the hobby enough to make room for it at home. He also began leaning on community resources. Instead of adding another casserole dish to his cupboard, he checked with his daughter, who already had an overflowing kitchen, to see if he could borrow one for the next potluck. A neighbor with a well-stocked toolbox became his go-to for those occasional repair jobs, and in return, Clive offered rides to appointments or shared baked goods. The house stayed lighter, and his world quietly grew more connected. If you feel strange asking to borrow things, remember this: most people like to feel useful. Offering to return items promptly and in good condition, or trading favors, keeps it respectful. Your library, senior center, or even local buy-nothing groups can give you access to books, movies, tools, and equipment without turning your living room into a storage unit. Clive set one simple rule: if he could experience it without owning it, he would. Stream a movie instead of buying the DVD. Attend a gardening class before purchasing new tools. Test a new recipe at his daughter's spacious kitchen before buying a special pan. Each try-first decision saved him money, but more importantly, it saved him from one more thing to find space for, dust, and step around. This rule isn't about being stingy, it's about honoring the space you live in and the body you move with now. When you borrow an item, rent it, or try it in a shared space, you get the benefit without the long-term burden. And often, you discover that once was enough, and that your home doesn't have to absorb every curiosity forever. Rule number 4. One good thing, not 10 cheap things. Clive still remembers his father's winter coat, thick, lined, and worn for years, carefully brushed and hung up at the end of each season. His parents rarely bought duplicates. They invested in a few sturdy things and took care of them. Standing in his bedroom now, he saw a different picture: several bargain jackets that looked similar, none of them truly comfortable, all crammed into a closet rod bowing under the weight. The turning point came when a plastic shoe rack collapsed under the pile of buy one, get one half off sneakers he had picked up over the years. As he sat on the bed, looking at the mess, he thought, if one of these really did the job well, I wouldn't have needed all the others. That thought stung, but it also gave him a clear direction. He started small. First, he picked one category, everyday shoes. He lined them up and asked honest questions. Which pair has good support? Which pair do I actually reach for when I know I'll be on my feet? Which ones hurt, pinch, or never really felt right? The winners stayed. The almost right but not quite pairs went into a donate box. Then he promised himself, before buying another pair, he would check the condition of his good ones. If they still served him well, he would simply care for them, clean, polish, maybe add an insole, instead of replacing them out of habit. Next, he applied the same thinking to kitchen gadgets and small appliances. His parents made coffee with one simple percolator. He had 3 machines on the counter. He chose the one that was easiest to clean and used the least space, then passed the others along. He noticed how much calmer the kitchen felt with just one reliable tool ready to go. For you, this rule can be your less but better filter. On a fixed income, the temptation to chase discounts is strong, but remember, every poorly made item still takes up room, still needs cleaning, and still can become a tripping hazard. When you pause and decide to save up for one better quality sweater, one dependable pan, or one supportive pair of slippers, you are not being fancy, you are preventing clutter and protecting your body from strain. Clive found that when he waited to buy the better version, he felt proud every time he used it. The item had a story, he had thought about it, planned for it, and chosen it on purpose. That quiet pride replaced the nagging guilt that came with stuffed drawers of almost right purchases. His closet didn't just look neater, it felt like it finally matched the careful, thoughtful person he had always been. Rule number 5. No space, no purchase. One evening, Clive tried to slide a new box of emergency snacks onto the top of the fridge and watched it teeter dangerously close to the edge. That wobbling box was a picture of how his whole home felt, everything one bump away from falling. It reminded him of his childhood house, one linen shelf with just enough towels, a single drawer for odds and ends, and a firm rule from his mother, if it doesn't fit, something has to go. Modern life had quietly erased that rule. Extra shelving units, plastic bins, and a rented storage unit 2 towns over made it seem like space was endless. But his body knew the truth every time he squeezed past boxes in the hallway or climbed over a pile to reach the washer. So Clive wrote himself a new promise on an index card and stuck it near the computer. If I don't know exactly where it will live, I don't buy it. The next time he was about to place an online order for a countertop appliance, he forced himself to answer a simple question. Which item will move or leave to make room for this? If he couldn't name one, the order waited. Sometimes that meant giving up the purchase entirely. Other times, it meant deciding in advance that an older, less used item would be donated to create a vacant spot. He also took a slow walk through his main pathways, bedroom to bathroom, living room to kitchen, front door to favorite chair. Any bag, box, or extra furniture piece that narrowed those paths became a signal. These are the places that keep me safe, he thought. Nothing gets to crowd them. That awareness made every future good deal look a little less good when he pictured having to sidestep it every day. You can treat your space like a gentle but firm teacher. Before you accept free items, say yes to hand-me-downs, or order something new, look at your shelves, closets, and walkways. Are they already working hard for you, or are they asking for a break? You might even put a sticky note on your front door that reads, "Is there room for this?" A last reminder before anything crosses the threshold. Clive found that this rule turned his home from a storage unit back into a living space. When he honored the true limits of his rooms, he stopped arguing with reality. Instead of asking, "How can I cram this in?" he began asking, "Do I want to share my safe floor and easy breathing with this object?" Often, the answer surprised him, and clutter never even had a chance to arrive. Rule number 6. Gifts that get used, not dusted. The bookshelf in Clive's hallway told a quiet story. On one shelf sat framed photos and an old yearbook. On the others, rows of scented candles, slogan mugs, novelty blankets, and figurines from holidays and birthdays. Each had come with love, but together they stole space and gathered dust he no longer wanted to breathe. He remembered that when he was young, gifts were usually simple and practical. Socks at Christmas, a new lunchbox, a warm robe, or a single toy that saw years of play. The house didn't swell with every holiday, it simply adjusted. Somewhere along the way, he had stopped giving his own family clear direction, and the default became one more thing to put somewhere. Rather than feeling ungrateful, Clive decided to get ahead of the next gift-giving season. On a video call with his daughter and teenage grandson, he took a breath and said, "I love everything you've given me, but the truth is, I'm running out of room. Could we try something different this year?" He suggested things that would be used up or experienced instead. Dinner out together, a streaming subscription they could share, a digital photo album updated throughout the year, or a promise of help with a project around the house. To his surprise, his family looked relieved. His grandson said, "I never know what to buy that you actually use." That conversation changed the flow of future clutter more than any storage bin ever could. You can do this too, even if it feels awkward at first. Try a short note before birthdays or holidays. "It means the world that you think of me. This year I'm focusing on keeping my home safer and lighter." If you'd like to give something, experiences, edible treats, or help with a project would be perfect. You are not rejecting their love, you are guiding it into forms that support your health and comfort. Clive also gave himself permission to quietly release some older gifts that no longer fit his life. He kept a few truly meaningful items and let others go to charity, where they could be appreciated instead of hidden. Each cleared shelf felt like he was making room for relationships, not rejecting them. Over time, his home began to tell a different story. Fewer objects, more visible memories. A calendar marked with lunches and visits. A small basket of favorite treats his grandson brought over. A digital frame cycling through family photos. The love stayed, the dust did not. Rule number 7. Wait 3 days, then decide. Late at night, when the house was quiet and his joints ached, Clive found himself scrolling through endless ads, miracle pans, pain relief pillows, clever storage systems that promised to fix the clutter they would later add to. It was easy to click buy just to feel like he was doing something for himself. But each box added to the silent pile of things he wasn't sure he even wanted. His parents never had that problem. If they saw something in a catalog or store window, they checked the price, talked it over, and then waited. Sometimes paydays came and went before they finally bought it. That waiting didn't feel like punishment, it felt like proof the item truly mattered. Clive decided to borrow that rhythm using the tools of today. He created a new habit: nothing went straight into checkout. Every tempting item went onto a maybe later list, either a written page on the fridge or a digital wish list. He allowed himself to be curious, but not committed. Then he set a simple rule: check the list again in 3 days. If, after 3 ordinary days, he still wanted it and could answer 3 questions clearly, then he could move forward. The questions were: 1. What will this replace or improve that I already own? 2. Where will it live, specifically, in my home? 3. Does this fit my current budget without tightening anything essential? If he hesitated on any answer, the item stayed on the list, or disappeared from it. At first, the delay felt frustrating. The thrill of clicking buy faded when he had to think. But within a few weeks, something surprising happened. Many items lost their shine after a few days. Ads that once felt urgent now seemed silly or repetitive. His wish list shrank, his bank balance steadied, and fewer packages appeared at the door. You can make your own version of this pause, tailored to your routines. Maybe you put a sticky note on the TV remote: 3 days first. Maybe you keep a small notebook by your favorite chair where you jot down tempting items, then review them once a week with a cool head. Involve a trusted friend or family member if you like. Sometimes just saying the purchase out loud makes its importance clearer, or not. This isn't about denying yourself joy. It is about protecting your future self from clutter, regret, and tight money. Every time you wait and then decide not to buy, you are choosing open space on your floors and shelves, and room in your budget for the things that truly matter. Like his parents before him, Clive discovered that the things he still wanted after waiting were the ones that genuinely added value, and those were worth making room for. Rule number 8. Spend more on memories than materials. When Clive thought back on his favorite childhood moments, almost none of them involved shopping bags. He remembered Sunday drives with the windows down, picnic blankets at the park, church potlucks, and simple backyard barbecues. His parents spent carefully, but when they did, it was often on gas for the car, ingredients for a shared meal, or tickets to the occasional game or movie. The memories lasted, the stuff did not crowd the house. Looking around his living room now, Clive saw a different story. Shelves crammed with gadgets he rarely touched, souvenir mugs from places he barely remembered visiting, and promotional items from events long past. The things were crowding out the experiences he wanted in this phase of life. Quiet mornings without visual noise, safe play space for his grandkids, room to move without worrying about bumping into something. On a fresh page in his notebook, he drew 2 columns, spending that becomes clutter and spending that becomes a story. Into the first column he listed things like random decor, duplicate kitchen tools, extra clothes bought out of boredom, and impulse purchases during big sales. In the second, he wrote ideas that lit him up: a weekend trip to see an old friend, classes at the community center, a family membership to the local zoo, a nicer seat at his granddaughter's recital, or even hiring help to deep clean one room so he could breathe easier. Then he did something bold. He decided that a portion of every month's fun money would be reserved only for experiences or help that made life smoother, not objects. When he caught himself eyeing a new trinket, he asked, "Would I rather dust this or remember doing something?" Most of the time, the answer steered him back toward the second column. For you, this might look like choosing a lunch out with a friend instead of another decorative item. It might be paying for a class that teaches a skill you've always wanted, rather than buying new supplies for a hobby you're not sure you'll stick with. It could even mean spending on services, grocery delivery, occasional cleaning help, or transportation, that reduce stress and clutter at the same time. As Clive shifted his spending, his home slowly changed. Fewer new objects arrived, and the ones he already had got some breathing room. His calendar grew a bit more colorful, filled with visits, outings, and events, while his shelves became calmer. The balance moved from "what do I own?" to "how did I spend my time?" In the end, those choices not only cut clutter but also gave him something his parents seemed to have in abundance: stories worth telling without needing any props. Clive didn't wake up one morning with a perfectly edited home. His reset started in the most ordinary way: a quiet Sunday afternoon, a cup of coffee, and a feeling that the walls were inching closer. The pantry wouldn't close smoothly. The hallway tripped him with its plastic bags. The monthly statements showed too many small transactions from stores and websites. Instead of declaring a giant declutter project, he chose one month to focus mainly on changing how things entered his home. He started by taping his "list first, store later" note to the fridge. Before each grocery order, he opened cabinets and wrote down what was truly low. The surprising part? He could skip entire weeks of buying certain items because he already had enough. He then circled 2 days on his calendar as errand loops. These became his only scheduled buying days, with everything else deferred to them. In between, he dropped reminder notes into his next errand day basket instead of leaving the house or grabbing his phone to order. This small boundary cut down on spontaneous purchases more than willpower ever had. Curious whether he really needed all the tools and gadgets he owned, he joined a few local offerings. The senior center had exercise classes, so he paused plans to buy another home workout device. The library's digital catalog replaced his growing stack of magazines. He borrowed a specialty pan from his daughter rather than adding one more item to his own cupboards. Each try before owning choice left his rooms exactly as they were: no new bulges, no extra dusting. Quality over quantity came next. Clive picked one category per week: shoes, then kitchenware, then jackets, and kept only the items that truly supported his body and daily life. With fewer things to manage, he felt less pressure to keep buying better versions, because the chosen items already served him well. He talked openly with his family about gifts. Together they agreed on new traditions: shared meals, tickets, digital photo albums, and practical help instead of knickknacks. Future holidays still felt festive, but after they ended, he didn't need to rearrange shelves to make room for anything. Throughout the month, he practiced his 3-day rule: every tempting ad went onto a maybe list, not straight into the cart. He reviewed this list once a week with a cool head, and most items quietly dropped off. The money saved went into a small experience fund jar for outings and services that made his life richer and his home safer. By the end of that season, Clive's house was not a minimalist showroom, but it was noticeably easier to live in. Walkways widened. Cupboards opened without surprises. The stack of unopened boxes by the door disappeared and rarely reappeared. What changed his home was not one dramatic clean-out, but a new way of deciding what was allowed to join his life in the first place. Months later, Clive sat in his favorite chair and noticed something he hadn't felt in years. He could see the baseboards. The living room floor was open enough for his grandkids to spread out a board game without moving piles first. The coffee table held just a lamp, a coaster, and the remote, not catalogs and unopened mail. The air itself seemed to move differently without so many obstacles. As he walked down the hallway, his feet met clear carpet instead of plastic bags and boxes. The kitchen counters showed off their original pattern again. Opening the pantry no longer felt like bracing for an avalanche. Items stood in single, visible rows. Nothing fell out when he opened the door, and nothing hid out of sight until it expired. Emotionally, the biggest shift surprised him. He used to say, half joking, "I'm treating myself, I deserve this," when he bought something new. But sitting in his calmer home, he realized he had been treating his short-term feelings at the expense of his future safety and peace. Now, he could say instead, "I deserve to move without fear, to know where my things are, and to have enough energy left for what I love." He saw his parents' habits in a new light. Back then, he sometimes thought they were overly cautious or even strict about shopping. Now he understood, their limits were acts of care. By buying less and buying with intention, they had protected their small house, their budget, and their bodies from being buried. What looked like frugality was also a quiet form of self-respect. Looking around, Clive felt a new kind of pride, not in possessions, but in choices. The rules he adopted were not rigid laws, but gentle guardrails. If he slipped, ordering something impulsively, he didn't shame himself. He simply asked where it would live, whether it truly earned its space, and what he could adjust next time. For you, this transformation does not have to look identical. Your goal is not perfection, it is alignment. A home that matches your energy, your needs, and your current season of life. A house where the best of your parents' wisdom lives on, not just in your memories, but in the way you shop, store, and move every day. Small changes at the door can ripple out into big changes in how light your home and heart feel. Clive's life did not change because he bought a miracle organizer. It changed because he chose different doors for things to enter through. A list that respected his shelves, fewer errand days that protected his joints and wallet, borrowed items and shared spaces instead of instant ownership, one good tool instead of 10 flimsy ones, a firm no room, no purchase boundary, gifts that are lived and enjoyed rather than dusted. A simple 3-day pause before saying yes, and a decision to spend. More on days that become stories than on objects that become clutter. As you listen, notice which part tugs at you the most. Is it the late-night ordering when you feel lonely? The hallway that has quietly shrunk as boxes have grown? The pressure to keep every gift because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings? Or the quiet grief when you remember how lightly your parents' homes seem to hold their things? Take a breath and ask yourself, which shopping habit from your parents do you secretly miss? And which aisle, app, or habit is quietly filling your house right now without truly serving you? You don't have to fix everything this week. You only need to choose one small rule to test, maybe writing a real list, skipping one store trip, or telling your family you're ready for experiences, not more items. Share that one choice in the comments. Say, "This is the rule I'm trying," or "This is the temptation I'm ready to retire." Those words might be the exact encouragement another person your age needs to hear today. If this story gave you even a little more courage or clarity, tap like so it can reach another person staring at their own crowded kitchen. Subscribe to Wise Aging Seniors to walk, gently and steadily, toward a home that feels safer, calmer, and more like the best days you remember. And when you're ready, let the next video on your screen take your hand and guide you through the next room, one kind choice at a time.